Hi, today I will be showing you ways to make stick beads and U-pin or ghungroo beads, what is also called as a ghungroo bead. These are essentially used in terracotta jewelry to accentuate a piece, make it a little bit more grand, and there will be about 3 methods that I will show you how this can be done. One of the most common questions people tend to ask me is about the uniformity in the size, and for that I will be showing you 3 methods. One is obviously the coil method. This, what I have done is drawn, or rather taken a little bit of clay and made a uniform coil. This is one of the basic methods of doing the coil, and you can measure, you can take a normal ruler, a scale, and measure whatever, like for example, if I am measuring 1 centimeter, I would essentially cut at 1 centimeter in this manner. I would basically cut it like this, everything at a centimeter's distance. So now I know that these 3 are going to be of the equal size beads because I know that the coil is of equal size. So when I roll this, essentially I know that it's going to give me, all of these are going to give me the same size. So the coil method is one. The coil method essentially is one. And the other one is the slab method. The slab method, you roll out a clay slab using, make sure it is evenly rolled out so that the thickness and the evenness is all the same. After that, you can use a small cutter, whatever cutter that you want, and cut from this particular piece of slab and roll this into a bead. You end up getting obviously a bigger bead for this one, but if you want a smaller one, you can obviously make this slab much thinner and you'll end up getting smaller beads. So even if you were to use a smaller cutter when compared to this, or you can make this a much thinner slab and cut several such beads from one particular slab. But again, a lot of this depends on how evenly this slab is being rolled out. This slab work has to be rolled out very evenly, and the thickness has to be equal on all sides. So if that is not maintained, then you will not get the equal size stick beads or ghungroo beads. That's another method of doing this. And a lot of times when you are rolling out a slab like this, you can choose to use scales. These are obviously normal measuring scales, but you get plain wooden scales that would help you. You can just put 2 scales adjacent to the slab like this and roll using a normal rolling pin. This is just a normal rolling pin that I have here. You can keep 2 scales on either side of the slab and roll so that you make sure that the thickness is equal on either side. Now, for example, if the scale is say roughly about 2.5 mm in thickness, you use 2 such scales, and when you roll out, please don't use a plastic one, please use a wooden one. When you roll out using 2 such 2.5 mm scales thickness, you know for a fact that the slab is also going to be 2.5 mm in thickness. And after that, when you use a cutter which is of a standard size, you know the product that comes out of that is all going to be the same size. So that's another method. And one of the final methods is using this, the Jhumka mold. You can use the size 3rd in this, and you get roughly this size of a ball. So you can put in clay, press, cut out the excess if there is any, and remove it. When you remove it, you can just roll it. You can just roll it and you end up getting a clean shape like this. Now, what the main element that goes into making this into a stick bead, from a bead to a stick bead or a U-pin bead or a ghungroo bead, is these Nichrome pins. I use roughly a gauge of 26 or 28 for stick beads and U-pin beads. Now, lesser the gauge, thicker the wire. and nichrome wires are generally high temp wires, so they don't melt. They have a very high melting point, which is precisely why nichrome wires are used in terracotta jewelry. So ideally, when it's a stick bead, this is what I would do. I would roughly, the length of this is approximately about 1.4 centimeters roughly. Now, if this is to be done for a pendant, if I am making this particular piece for a pendant, stick bead for a pendant, it is better that this wire is a little long so that it sticks well inside the pendant that you're going to fix this bead into. So I just put it in. Remember that you don't want the wire to jut out from the other end. That is very important. And you want a decent quantity of stick that is jutting out as well, so that it gives enough space to fit well inside the pendant. Now, if the same thing has to be repeated in using a U-pin, obviously this is the U-pin which is made. I use it, I make the U-pin with the help of a round tip nose plier and a cutter. You have a U-pin here. Always make sure the loop has a little bit of gap and the excess wire does not jut out from the other end, because this can be harmful as these wires are pretty sharp and you don't want it to hurt any part. So please be careful about that. Be very wary about it. And this much of a gap is probably sufficient. Remember that these beads are still wet. So there is a high chance that this clay will shrink a little bit. Roughly on an average, I think clay shrinks during drying, clay shrinks about maybe about 5%. I think overall it shrinks anywhere between 8 to about 12%. And when I say shrinkage, I mean both during drying as well as firing. These are the two times when the clay actually shrinks. So when I say shrink, the shrinkage happens because of the loss of moisture based on the time given for it to dry. So based on that, it will shrink. So let the pin not be too out or too in as well. So this is the right amount of gap that is left. You can stop at this, use another U-pin in order to connect it to the pendant or the earring, or you can also use or make a connector to this. And when I say a connector, this is a basic nichrome wire here. I have a round tip nose plier. Right at the tip, I just make a round in this manner. I have not closed it. If you see, the loop is still open. I put the bead in. You can cut off a little portion of this. After that is being done, please close the loop. When I say, remember that this loop is still open, this one. So you just want to close the loop. Once you close the loop, you know you have this kind of an extension that is made for you in order to easily fix the pin to the pendant or the earring. So you can use any kind of a normal plier, hold it or grip the ghungroo bead and fix it onto whatever that you want to fix it. Now, for example, if you're getting it fixed onto something like this, it's easier to just put it in and fix it in this manner. So just to go through again, one was the coil method, where you are going to be making a coil of an even size, and with the help of a scale, you can just roughly measure about 1 centimeter and cut it and make beads out of that. The other method is to draw out a slab, a really thin slab, using 2 scales on either sides. You can use a wooden scale. Please don't use a plastic scale, because when you try rolling on this, it might break. especially with a rolling pin. So once you roll out an equal slab, you can use any cutter of your size, and once you determine the size, you can start. One slab can, if you draw out a bigger slab, you'll get almost, you know, that many number of beads. So when you draw out a slab, use a cutter, cut, and you get equal number of beads. The final method is using the Jhumka mold. You can use these 3 sizes. Obviously, the smallest one is pretty. How do I say this? It's the least useful, to be honest. Size 2 and size 3 seems to be more helpful in with regard to our purpose. You know, stick beads and ghungroo beads can be made of these 2 sizes. And if anything smaller than that is required, then my suggestion would be to either go for these 2 methods, one of these 2 methods. And I really hope you found this video useful. I mean, I think it would require, genuinely, it would require a good amount of practice as well to do this. But this is one of the things that is generally done a lot in quantity. Because sometimes for a particular pendant, if you're using anywhere between say 5 to 10 pieces, that is going to give you, as you keep doing it, and if you're obviously doing about say 10 pieces and each piece takes up about 5 stick beads, you know that you have to have a quantity of 50 such stick beads or 50 ghungroo beads in stock. So it will be good practice. I really hope you found this video useful. If so, then please like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to ask any suggestions, queries, if any, in the comments, and I will be happy to answer. So there you go. I honestly wish there was a simpler version to explain or probably do the stick beads and the ghungroo beads. And these are the only 3 methods that we have been following for a very long time. If you know, if I come across any more, I will certainly share it. Currently, I think these are the ones that I can honestly share, because this is a method which is what we've been using for a very long time ourselves. Thank you so much everyone for watching, taking some time out and watching our videos. Thank you.